Get started. We have team coverage on today's protest. Lamore Abrams is in front of the NAACP headquarters with more on what they're now demanding. But first, let's go to CBS 13's Mark Thompson, live from the Capitol in the thick of it all with what's happening as we speak. Mark, take it away.
Yeah, these protests have now moved to 3rd and I Street, and you can see behind me that the lines are clearly drawn between police and protesters, police making sure that this group of protesters does not get back onto the I-5 freeway like they did yesterday and shut things down, while the protesters are making sure that their voices are heard. Again, protesters out here protesting the fact that Stephon Clark, a 22-year-old unarmed black man, was shot and killed by Sacramento police just outside his grandparents' home on Sunday. The protests have been taking place all day, as you mentioned, starting off at the Tower Bridge, then making their way to the state capitol, and now here again at 3rd and I, just across from the Amtrak station. Again, you can see the lines clearly drawn here between police and the protesters. Now, this is the second day of protests that have been taking place. Yesterday, this group of protesters made their way onto the freeway and shut down the freeway for a short period of time, and then also made their way to the Golden One Center, where they were able to delay the start of the Sacramento Kings game versus the Atlanta Hawks. But again, right now, the major standoff is taking place right here on 3rd and I between police and protesters. And you can listen in here as they have been very vocal but peaceful so far with the police officers not responding in any sort of way to the protesters at this point. They didn't make any arrests yesterday, and it looks like right now they are really not trying to engage the protesters here, despite a lot of the verbal confrontation that's taking place here. But again, that's the situation here right now. It continues. It's an ongoing situation, and we're not sure at this point if this crowd plans to stay here for a while or if they're going to move to other areas of the city, especially here in downtown Sacramento. Guys, I'll send it back to you.
Mark, let me stay with you just for a second before we get to Lamore. Mark, we're seeing a lot more confrontational approaches today with these protesters getting in the faces of law enforcement, but the law enforcement showing restraint, not reacting in any way, shape, or form, correct?
Correct. They haven't reacted thus far, just standing here listening to protesters as they engage those officers, basically making sure that they know the name of Stephon Clark, making sure that they hear them and understand that they are serious about making sure that their voices are heard. And no justice, no peace has pretty much been the chant all day. It looks like now they are moving the protests to another area of the city. We will follow along and let you know exactly where they go. But for now, the confrontation here at 3rd and I appears to be dissipating as the protesters are moving on to a different location.
Okay, Mark, we'll let you go out and about and get some more images.